everything in your
Yeah, I
pocket.
guess.
So don't sit on that.
I need you to do me a favor.
What?
One more time. Tell me the 2 words again.
Personal trainer and nutrition coach.
All right, personal trainer, nutrition coach. All right, you ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
All right, welcome back. This is episode 35 here at the Awakened Avoidant. We bring to you today another deposit on the journey towards generational health. Today we have Miss Michelle Bridge here. She is you go.
Personal trainer and nutrition coach.
Thank you very much. She literally just told me that like 3 times, and I just can't remember in my mind. It's scrambled eggs.
We got it flowing now. We're good.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you for coming.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
It.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you, since we parted ways at the gym.
I know. Yeah.
We met at the gym, I don't know how many years ago that was. What do you think, like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, because you were a member there
right?
before I was, right?
Yeah.
And I probably joined there, I would say like 2014, 15?
Yeah,
probably.
good for you. Good memory, yeah, because I moved in that area 2012, and I probably started like around that time, like 13, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I first saw you, I was fairly new to that gym too, probably like a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, I felt like you were like a welcoming kind of person. In a sense, once like it was somewhat of a familiar face, so I wouldn't have known that you were like newer, you know?
Yeah, the gym is such an interesting place, because, I don't know, it's like different energy sometimes, like.
For sure.
It's just like, like sometimes you could talk to a person like, leave me fucking, or you talk to someone, they're like, hey, how you doing? Just
and they want to spend their whole time talking to you too.
Yeah. Like I always thought the gym was like, not a place to socialize, but you do some of that there, but it's just like normal. Like, hey, how you doing? No matter who the person is. Hey, this person, whether they're big, strong, in shape, good looking, not like whatever, just talk like a regular person.
Yeah, and you see them every day. Like, so it's like, the same kind of like relationships you start to have people you work with, like it's familiar faces, then we have something in common, or we have nothing in common, and I'm going to be over here. Like,
absolutely. But the gym is, I didn't realize it when the gym ended with COVID and everything, when it parted ways, like, I would say just now I started realizing, like, damn, I miss some of those people. Like, the gym family shit, like, you don't realize that at the time, but like you said, you see them every day, you talk to them every day, you have things in common, you like them, like, you become friends with them.
Yeah.
Then it just ended, like.
And it was, like, cut the ties. And I know, like, a lot of people went to, like, a similar gym, another one, like, in the area and stuff, and, like, still somewhat stayed together. I mean, there's even people that I used to, like, do, like, my circuit classes that still get together like they did in COVID, and they go to the park outside on Saturdays, and there's, like, 6 or 7 of them that work out with each other. And then, like, I go to that park often, so I'll run into them, and, like, it makes me very happy, because if there's one thing that gym had, it was not, polished, anyway, but it had the people. Like, it just had like a good group of people that are like here to better themselves, but at the same time, like, weren't taking it so seriously that they couldn't be like human beings in the situation.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good, good assessment of that gym, because it wasn't like, I'm going to use a cliche term, but it wasn't like a meathead kind of gym.
Exactly.
You had like a range of different
And that
type
just
of
has a
people.
different vibe. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I like meathead gyms when I'm going in there and I want to, like, ruin my legs, like, whatever. But it's, like, in places like that, like, you have to kind of, I don't know, like, you have to show a little bit of humility, and, like, it's hard because you get a lot of egos in the gym. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And when I say meathead gym, I don't mean it to be like disparaging, because I probably was maybe like the biggest meathead in there.
I could, fall in that category easily,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's definitely, it's intimidating for a lot of people. So I think people felt like middle of the road there, where like I could go in there and I could personal train, take a class, like lift heavy and deadlift, whatever, or I can go in there and I can just walk and like talk with my friends, or sit and just get a smoothie and then leave, because that's what I wanted to do. Like, I don't know, it was a thing. In time, a place in time, we were all there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I haven't been back to the gym since. I realized how much time it was taking from my life, especially with just having a kid now. It's like, I wouldn't mind going back, but I think about the hour and the drive time, and I'm like, that's 2 hours a day, this many days a week, this many times a year. I'm like, that's like weeks of my life. I'm like, I'd rather just do something at home.
Exactly. And I think we all kind of like transitioned into like waking up and recognizing that like we have more power within like the other times of the day. Because I used to be that same way too. I'm like, I cannot get a workout at home. I have to go, like, make it a thing, like, make it like an event almost. And like, and I think that's like what got me disciplined over time. So it, like for me, I think it was in a good place in my journey to then like back off and go like, you know, the other way of like, all right, I'm going to then fit this into my lifestyle, which with kids and, you know, different elements, and then we couldn't go anywhere. But like, you just learn like, okay, I can go outside and I can do the same things I did in the gym under
Yeah.
lights, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. And no, I don't want to say better because I guess both things have their goods and their bads because you still like miss the community of being
for
at the gym,
sure.
but
Yeah.
at home you can just kind of save time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. It's more convenient
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is that where you started your fitness journey?
At Retro.
Yeah.
So I always like I was a part of like LA Fitness for a while, like in our area, and then I had like moved like, you know, not away, but like 20 minutes away, and was down in that area for a little bit. But I didn't know what I was really doing. Like, you know, I would go to the gym, like maybe get shown a couple things like on like cables. I, like remember like Superman, like girls were like, yes, we have to do these and like press and then go right to cardio. And that was like what I did for forever. But like when I seriously got into like lifting and like learning about the body, that was at Retro for sure. And I would just kind of go in there and look at videos on my phone. I had joined like, I don't know, like we'll probably like jump into all this, but I had joined like a challenge, like the same things that I kind of do now. And I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna learn. And she had a bunch of videos, and it was like the beginning of the Instagram thing. And I would go there like after I went back to school, and so I would go probably 2 or 3 before I would go pick up my son at daycare. So like not a lot of people were there, so I would just look, like watch it like probably 10, 15 times, and then I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do it, and from there I learned.
What was like the impetus for you beginning to just get in shape in general?
Well, I had my son in 2012. Before that, I was
Oh, really? So just shortly after I met you, you had just had your.
Yeah. My son was
okay.
born in 2012. And then
Didn't know that.
I had gained a good amount of weight. I probably gained like 60 to 70 pounds. And I was like,
During the pregnancy?
during the pregnancy, yes. So like before that, like I was probably in one of my thinner stages of life. I've always been kind of a girl that carried a good amount of muscle. Like I played softball, and like I was a gymnast when I was young, and like
okay.
dabbled in like most sports. I played basketball, soccer, all the sports, but like those are the ones I kind of got more serious in, and like cheerleading. But like I was never lean, and I always carried a good amount of body fat because I just did what I did. And then so those habits, obviously, then I got pregnant, and you know, that was a whole experience in itself. That was something that, you know, left me as a single mother, like from the beginning, from a 2-year relationship. So that was like a big abrupt change in my life where I was like kind of forced to grow up. I was 24 years old, and I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. My family like fully supported me, and we're like, we're doing this. So in that time, obviously gaining a bunch of weight, my hormones changing, having a baby, like my life kind of flipping upside down from like what all my friends were doing. I mean, I worked at a bar, I was a waitress, like we all had like similar groups of friends and stuff, and just everyone was in 24-year-old mode,
Yeah.
I guess. And so that all, you know, went down like adapting and stuff. And then from there, obviously I wanted to lose the weight. And I was trying at home, what was that like? The only time I really was like working out at home before that was, remember those like P90X type of
Yeah.
like videos? So like I would do that, and then I would like look on Pinterest and find these like military diets where it's like eat an egg and like a speck of salt and like this for like these many days, and you lose 10 pounds, which is truly just like water weight. Like,
Yeah.
and then dehydrating yourself, like pretty much just, yeah, like treating yourself like shit. And like for the sake of losing 10 pounds and like visibly seeing that. So like I fell victim to those things. I was like spinning all the time. So I had lost some weight, and probably like within like the first year, like made it a priority. But from there, I remember we were like on the beach, and like my friend would like joke to me, and she's like, look at that pancake butt. Like, you know, like, cause I had lost weight, but I had no shape to my body.
Yeah.
Cause in pregnancy, first thing you lose, like with your hormones changing, is muscle. So like when you lose muscle, then you're doing everything to like lose weight. You're kind of left with like, even if you lose weight, you're like that skinny fat look where you're like still not happy in your shorts and your bathing suit, whatever it is. So I had felt that way, and I was like, okay, like trying to put 2 and 2 together. And I had found this girl online, and Katie Hearn. I don't know if you
Oh
know
yeah, I
her.
remember.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
owns Alani Nu now. Like they like really made the most out of like what they were doing. But at the time, they were doing what I do now. They were just on their computers doing check-ins with clients and teaching them about macronutrients, teaching them how to lift, like teaching them just about how to change your lifestyle. And it was a couple, they were cute, and she was like me. She was like short. She's like, I think she's like 5 foot, 5'1".
Yeah.
And but she had these like legs that were powerful, but this tiny, tiny waist and like these, muscles in her arms. And I was like, how do these girls get so lean, but like have all that shape? Like, because I looked at myself and I was like, there's no shape anymore. Like I lost the weight. Like, why don't I feel good?
Yeah.
And so I remember, and I tell all my clients this, like in my programming, I will fully tell you like my experience because it's something that was like pivotal for me. Was I was on my way to work and I like was kind of like hovering around doing the challenge and doing anything like taking it on for 8 weeks. You're like, okay, like that's going to be a commitment. But I remember like hiding in my clothes and all that, and I was like, I just never want. I would stop and start and stop and start, and I just never wanted to start again. Like I just wanted to stay, like to keep going and to keep progressing, because that was always, you get to this point, and either you were happy with it or you weren't happy with it, but you stopped for whatever reason because you were distracted. And I was like, I clicked it, and it was $200, and $200 is a lot to like a single mom who's like
Yeah.
25 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like
It's a commitment.
on my way to work. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make this money. Like, and that right there, clicking that for me changed it. It like changed it all, because it was that mindset of I never want to start over. You can rest, you can take time off. But I've never felt like since that time, and that was probably 2015, I've never felt like I started over. And I feel like that's the thing.
Damn.
I've never said that
That was
out
amazing. For
loud.
one, thank you so much for what you just did. That was just like you just powered through some amazing shit.
Thank you for bringing that out of me, because sometimes I feel like saying it like that really helps people. And you can try, like I do a lot of online stuff too, especially with mindset, but like sometimes you can't always portray everything through like written words. So
Yeah.
thank you.
You just articulated your journey in like the most amazing way
Thank you.
possible.
Thank
That
you.
was
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
speechless.
Like once you do get it, and that's why like I did get into what I was doing. I went back to school, got a college degree, worked out in the world, and then like realized how powerful my journey was, and then I ditched it all and changed what I wanted to do. So like I felt like I needed to, like I felt that, and I was like, I need to share that. Like
Yeah.
and especially with women. Like I don't know, women, it's changed now, but like in that time, it was an evolving thing of like strength for women. Like it was always like tear yourself down, be skinnier, like that like heroin chic type of look that like we grew up with. Like,
Yeah.
and I never fit in that box ever before, and I know a lot of people probably didn't either. And that like that's a good thing. Like
Yeah.
like to build yourself up is a good thing, and that's like where I'm at now with
Yeah.
helping women.
Absolutely. Shout out to Katie Hearn for
Shout out to
inspiring you
Katie Hearn.
and getting you going.
Her and her husband Hayden both changed my life.
I'm sure her hair changes all the time, but doesn't she have dark hair? Like, don't you guys kind of look alike too?
A little bit, and I
Yeah.
actually went down and met her,
Yeah.
and like in the gym, someone thought I was her.
Oh,
I was
really?
like further along in my like fitness journey, and she was pregnant with her first child. So like
Oh.
well, I don't even think people knew then. I didn't know yet. Like when I met her, I didn't know she was pregnant, but she was just wearing like a big sweatshirt. But to me, I was like, someone actually thought I was her. Like,
What a
but I
compliment.
will say she inspired me on a lot of levels, and like I don't know, like. I'm sure you can appreciate like the same sex without being attracted to them. Like she embodied beauty, or still does to this day, even more so. I will say she's pregnant with her fourth child, and
Really?
like yes, and
Good for
just
her.
really is anchored into health, like true health and aging, and like not just doing fitness just for the show value of it, like really embodying like taking care of you, like sitting here and marveling at like all the things that like this earth has to offer. I don't know. So I looked up to her a lot, and she had a cute haircut at one point, and I did the same thing. And that was the last time I went short though. Like,
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember back in the day. You just reminded me when you said that name because I forget everything. I don't
There's
remember
so many
anything.
people
Yeah,
out
there's so
there.
much
There
shit
really
going on.
are.
Yeah, and the only person I really remember, what's the woman up north a little bit? Dana something?
Oh, Dana Bailey.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the like
Yes.
some names I kind of remember, but yeah,
Yeah.
Katie Hearn, I remember that
Yeah, and
name.
she has that short, dark hair too. She's a beast, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, her and her husband, if you want to talk about mindset, you gotta listen to them talk too. Like
Oh yeah.
they've got it on straight. They
Yeah,
do.
and I just remember you looking like Katie Hearn too, so it's kind of funny and hilarious that
Yeah, it
combo.
was like kind of on
But
purpose, but like,
yeah, yeah, but it's amazing now because I don't know. I feel like that's the purpose of this, all right? Like the inspiring each other through sharing our testimonies. Like because you
Yeah.
literally were inspired by somebody to change your life. The way you just described that story, you explained that shit perfectly. Is amazing and just capped it like with a button.
Yeah.
Started your journey.
Yeah.
One click and spending your $200 and you were inspired to become what you are now by
Yeah.
somebody else. And
Yeah.
that shit is really happening
Yeah.
in the world. So
And there's a lot of magnitude to that. And like I remember like when I did meet her, like I like fully fangirled because I was like, you like I was trying to like express I'm like, you changed my life with like trying not to be like that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And but it was, obviously I changed my life. And I remind that to clients all the time now. I'm like, no, you did this. Like I'm talking to you and I'm just saying things and you can look up a lot of this stuff on the internet and I'm pretty much like curating things that like actually are going to benefit you.
Yeah.
But you did this, but like that inspiration part is the part that like when you're making change to see that it's possible. Like I read this quote about the Olympics and it was like I don't know about you, but like I watch the Olympics and I like tear up at the end of like every like even like the pitfalls, but like of course the triumphs. And it was like talking about the reason why we love the Olympics so much is that like you not only see like how amazing they are like in whatever sport they're doing, but like they're real people and they've got real parents, they've got real kids, or they've got real struggles. Like if you like really listen to all the struggles that lots of these athletes went through, like it is wild. And like but that's the part that like I was like telling my husband last night. I was like, what if I just like got back into gymnastics? Like, like Simone Biles is like inspiring me to like want to be better. I'm like, what if I just like sat on all this potential when I was younger and like, okay, bring yourself back down to reality. But I think that's the point of like sharing things in the way that we do is like, you see yourself in people. And I think that's the most important thing too. Like as a coach over time, like I just realized like sharing that humility, that vulnerability with people, because we all go through it. And a lot of people pretend like, oh, I'm not struggling. This is like, I'm fine. But behind closed doors, they're like falling apart about whatever it is. And you just realize like, okay, it's okay to struggle, or it's okay. Like someone started there and they haven't always been like this. If they can do it. I remember that's one thing that stuck out to me too, was I started thinking for the first time in my life, if that person can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
And like, but that's like such a simple concept. But like, if that Joe, like this other person who is another human being, same exact species as me,
Yeah.
like, yes, we have all different IQs and all that, but like, that's relative. Like, you can adapt. Like, that's what we do. Like, if that person can do it, why can't I?
That's what I think about everything. Like,
Yeah,
literally
and then
everything.
that opens the whole world up to you, and you're like, okay, I have been stopping myself all this time, but that's, I think, like getting older and like finding that wisdom, like, and figuring out, like, and like where I was holding myself back, but I'm only able to understand that now because I'm in this chapter. Like, if you tell me the same information in chapter 3, I'm not gonna get it, but in chapter 20, like, I get it fully, and that simple sentence that like is just very blunt carries so much weight because of experience.
Yeah.
So that I think has like changed my perspective of like overall health and then like being a coach too.
Yeah. I love what is happening here today. I love when I come and I don't have to say anything. It makes it so much
I know, I'm like,
easier for me.
I'm rambling.
No, but you're killing this shit. I really, because like you carry it for me. I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to say anything.
Whatever.
I'm actually like absorbing and hearing your story.
Yeah, so tell me
it's, like,
about your
different.
fitness journey.
No, I'm not telling you anything about my fitness journey. It was a horrible one. Yours is way better than mine.
All right.
But I think people need to see it, like seeing you. That's why I reach out to you like a lot here and there. And ever since I've known you, really, since I realized that you were like, had the ability to commit, like, I don't know, sometimes like I didn't know you very well, but I could see it, and I could see like how you look, and I can just tell, okay, there's something there and this person wants it.
Yeah.
So I like always push you, and then you're natural on top of that. That's like a big thing for me. if you weren't, I probably wouldn't really say anything because
Yeah.
I don't. That's not the message, for me, even myself. Like,
Yeah.
I had my experience with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't out there like selling that because I knew what I was doing.
It's usually well, actually, the further you get, and like when I was in bodybuilding, I was like surprised how like openly people talked about that, and like I was naive to all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I remember like you would even ask me things like people started blatantly asking me in the gym
yeah,
if I was on like Anavar and like
yeah,
all these things, and I was like, I don't even really know what that is. So I'm
yeah,
like, no, but thank you, because at that time like I wanted to be the leanest, most extreme thing. So I was like,
yeah.
I guess it's working.
Yeah.
Like,
It's weird though.
but
It's
it's
like
not
kind of
health
it's like a backhanded compliment though, because really they're trying to think that you look
that you have a
so
leg
good. Yeah,
up.
you look too good to be looking like that, so you had to have done
Yeah,
something. Like, yeah,
yeah.
I got a lot of that shit too, but I was actually indulging, so
But whatever, but like, but also like sometimes people, I don't know, I feel like in like gyms like that, you get, I guess in lots of different scenarios you get it, but like the questions that people ask sometimes are funny. Like, and I always say like the questions that people ask the pregnant women, I think are hilarious too. It's just, it's like, I don't even know your last name and you are asking me some personal, like,
yeah,
because if you want to look at that, that's like a medical type of thing, whether you're doing it like whatever way you're like getting it. But like, that's a medical thing that you're asking somebody,
yeah,
and I don't even know your last name.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It gets weird.
yeah,
But just the fact that I knew that you did it all natural and like, and I knew where you started, so I'm like, this is the message that I think needs to get out there that women and people need to see that it can be done.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
where you started and how you started, just a person, just like everyone else, and you took it
yeah.
and just,
Just trying to better yourself, and I remember like friends at the time like seeing the transition, and it would be a joke like, oh, like you're on steroids, because like at that time too, like not as many girls were going and like trying to lift to like put on muscle like that. There was, and I guess it's like what environments that you're in.
Mhm.
But for the most part, like when I was like out with my friends and stuff, it was like not like that. So like, and I would showcase it too. I'd be like, I would be like drinking or something at the time because I still drank a lot then, and like in the beginning of my journey, and
Mhm.
obviously like as I went through it like lessened, but like so I would be the one like drinking and be like, who wants me to squat them? I will squat you, like, because I was like
Yeah,
so like pumped up about it. But I think
yeah,
I also dealt with like people saying things that were like backhanded compliments in a sense, or just like blatant questions that people would ask me that were kind of intrusive. I think that that was my way of maybe like combating it and being like, well, I can squat you, so shut up.
yeah.
Like,
You know what? You realize though, like I'm sure you noticed too, we are just in the like probably 1% of the world of people that look like you. So to them,
yeah,
like whatever mind state it took for you to achieve that, they've never been there. So that
exactly.
just totally ignorant in a nice way. They just don't know that
Yeah,
it's even attainable. So when they see you, they're like, "Fuck, how did she do? Like, how does she look like the people I see in magazines?"
yeah,
And they just don't realize that it's possible to do naturally.
yeah, it is. And yeah, and I think now, like, now it's like a movement for like girls to be strong. And obviously, like the bigger, like the stronger legs and butts and all that, like, came more into like the limelight. Yeah, like I'm sure all men were like, thank
Yeah,
God. But
let's get
like,
the butts right.
yeah, and then Instagram really made that like shareable to people that like you were like, or I guess YouTube did it
Hmm.
first, but like Instagram, at least for me, was like I remember like getting it and being like, what is this thing? And then realizing that you had like all of this stuff at your fingertips, so, like
Yeah.
that you could learn and you could just hashtag something because that's how it started, like hashtagging things that you were interested in.
It's so hard though because it's so confusing to people because when they see it, like what they would think about you, the reality of it, of what most of being shared on is bullshit. Like you're one of the few people. Not only are you in the 1% of people that look that way, but you're also in the 1% of people that look that way and are doing it naturally. Like a lot of those people are doing drugs, for
Yeah.
absolute certain.
Yeah, and I guess it depends like who you're following too,
Yeah.
because like over time, like the people that like I guess because you can look at your community that you have in person, and then your community that like you're sharing with online and stuff. And I know like my content has changed out of because you go into it naive and you see these like jack, especially when you're looking at like competitors,
Hmm.
and like you're looking at like these, these girls that are so jacked now, and like bikini, like I competed in bikini, and now bikini looks a lot different than it even did from people,
Yeah.
who did it how many years ago. Like they were so tiny, and the posing was so different. And like now, I know like my content has changed of like what I think is even like appealing too. Like, I think more of a natural look tends to be a little bit like more up my alley now when like, at one time, like the more extreme, the better. But like I started understanding like, yeah, like there is a bit of like smoke and mirrors and are they okay? Like,
Probably
because
not.
a lot of times you'll see like a lot of people like your life is in turmoil. I mean, when I competed, my life was in turmoil. I'm like the same thing. It's like a click of a button, and I was standing at the front of the gym where I worked, and because I had gotten a job at our gym because I was like, this is what I want to do. And I remember like one of the trainers walking in, and like he had a lot of experience with like bodybuilding and stuff, and we had talked about it. Honestly, you were the first person who ever said it to me, like, would you ever think about bodybuilding? And I was like, no, it would be like a bucket list thing, and kind of put it off. But then like I saw like your experience and like, seeing people in the gym who were competing, and I was like, that is so cool. Like I'm seeing somebody here that I know going and competing and like doing, like your support system and all of that. And so that trainer walked in, I asked him, I was like, how long would I have to like diet for, like to do that? And he was like, oh, I mean, probably like 12 weeks. And I was like, okay. And it was like January. So like everyone's mindsets are like in that. And the competition season started in April. And I was like, okay. And I went online and I clicked it and I got my like debit card out and I paid for it. And I was like, now what? And it was like, I think it was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday or something. Or no, I think it was like towards the end of the week. And he was like, okay, like next week, he kind of like asked me some questions based off of like how much food I was eating, how much training I was doing recently and all of that. And he was like, all right, well, we'll start Monday. But like, I'm a person where like, I'm like jump and figure it out on the way down. I was like, but why don't I start now? Like why wouldn't I start now? Like why would I think about this all weekend? Like shove my face with food or whatever. He was like, well, go home tonight and eat what you were gonna eat. And if anything else. And he's like, then okay, do whatever you want. And from there, like I just like kept going up to him like a little puppy and be like, what about this? Well, then I saw this girl do this. Do I have to do that? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, I know someone. And like just started putting all the pieces together. But once you get further in that world, like I was in turmoil because I was trying to run away from, not run away, but I was trying to get through a big breakup with not only a relationship that was extremely toxic and while being a single mom, and then I had broken up with like a friendship that like meant a lot to me. She was like my sister, and we had like severed ties, and that was like my link to like a big group that I was in. So those were all my friends that were like really just like friends by association, and like but in that time like I had lost like a big group of like, nope, that's not an option anymore.
So you
So I
like
was
lost a
like,
support system.
yeah, and I was like, okay. And honestly I thought about it because like drank a lot like I drank a lot. Like I worked in like the bar industry for a while, so like I had gone through a phase where like blacking out was fun, and like we all like do it, I guess.
We all did it.
No, we don't all, but because I learned, I'm like, not everyone is like that, but a lot of people do. So
Especially
I
with
knew,
personalities like ours, like we're kind of like take it to extreme and
yeah,
like
and you
so
realize that you can like run away, and it's fun, and it's also a big social thing, like especially at that time in life and all. But I knew I was like, I could then go like hang out with other acquaintances who aren't really truly my friends, and like go meet them at bars, and then go drive home a little drunk, and like, or try and figure out how to get there, and like I'm like, that's not going to do anything for my life. That's going to make it worse. And I was like, okay, this probably wouldn't be the worst idea if I didn't drink like for 12 weeks. Like, think if anything, it would be good. And like, so that like we even went through like my birthday, and like, my birthday was in February, and I was like, easy, like, and for this time, like I didn't know a lot about nutrition, and it was like extreme. So like there were no cheat meals, there were no days that weren't tracked, there were no restaurants, there was no nothing. But I was like, I was fully okay with that. I would like learn to like really embrace it, and like started like really just making that like this self-development, like in learning about like what I was doing, like kind of translate to like my feelings. So like in that time, it was a transformation of so many things for me. Like, and something I already thought, like, I was like, okay, like I went through a big event, like, was in a relationship, got pregnant. He, was like, no, this is not for me. I want to live my life. And like, I thought that was traumatic in itself. Then I was at this place and I was like, what is going on? But through that, like, it changed my life. It changed my perspective. It changed like my like confidence, I guess, in myself, that like I can apply myself and I can see the outcome and I can if I work really hard, I'll get where I want to be. And like, I guess I had never felt that in that way before, at least with that like mindset. And then that's kind of like, so in that, I was trying to say that like a lot of times people who are in that, like, the bodybuilding world, a lot of them are going through like turmoil of some sense and like trying to use this as a therapeutic avenue. But with anything, you can like get addicted to something that's good for you. And like, I see that with clients all the time. Like, you get addicted to doing what you think that you have to do. And you can shift your perspective and realize that that's not what you had to do. You can be nicer to yourself, or you can do these things with love instead of like looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, I'm doing these things because I hate myself. I'm doing these things because I hate the situation that I'm in, or this. Like, you can then translate that into like filling your cup back up by like just proving to yourself that you can do things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think some of mine, even though it was like some of my desire to get big was probably motivated by a little bit of anger and fear. Like, it wasn't
Yes.
always
I think a lot of
good thing.
people in the gym are motivated by like anger.
Yeah.
In at least in like the beginning, like, or whatever thing you have to tap into to like turn that beast on if you're like hitting a PR or whatever. Like, you have to, like, everyone has their music or their place in their head they have to go to like bring that out. And I think that that's, if used properly, that can be a tool, but you have to be able to control it. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that's the hardest.
How do you turn that switch on? Because I know you were thinking about it for a little while prior to doing your first show, because we were talking about it a little bit, and it was like a build up. I feel like we might have talked about it for like weeks or months before you actually did it.
Yeah.
How do you turn that on? Because, and I feel like I wanted to go back to this. I feel like the theme of your life is like everything starts with the click of a button for you. It's like part of your mantra or something that you're pushing to people, because a lot of your life changes that come with you.
Clicking.
Just
Yeah,
deciding to
yeah,
do
and
something
like
like that.
making a definitive decision, because it's not like, I was always a person, like, I was like, I'm a Pisces, I'm a dreamer, I'm a like, always in my life, I saw myself competing at the Olympics. I saw myself being like someone famous for like a big part of my life. Like told my parents, I was like, I want to go to school in California and I want to be a fashion designer. So I was inspired by like seeing other people do it. It was reality shows, but that was our first introduction to like seeing someone's life and from what you know of it.
Yeah.
And then like being like, oh, well, like that could be me maybe. Like, this girl moved to California and like made her life. Like, I could do that. And my parents were like, what? Like, why? And I didn't end up doing that. But I always had these like big dreams, but I never like followed through on myself. Like, I was very like much like a people pleaser. I like talked about this in one of my last posts, because I was always like putting other people up on a pedestal and always was like the go with the flow type of girl. So like, if you were like, yeah, no, we're going to change plans and we're going to go here, I was like, cool, whatever, like, let's go. But like, in doing that, like, or just like using that like mindset in a lot of different places, you're always just kind of like rerouting yourself from what you truly want or what's going to even be beneficial for you, and ditching it because you're like, oh no, we're going to go here. Like, and that's what I did with like, but like, if I was then held accountable and like, by like somebody else, like my parents or school, like I went to Catholic school, so it was very like discipline oriented. I didn't get in any trouble. I got decent grades. I like slacked a little bit, but like I got through like by doing it, but almost like the bare minimum though.
Yeah.
Like, and lost, like my dad used to always tell me all the time, he's like, you're sitting on a lot of potential. Like, you have like an it factor and like you're not doing anything with it. But I was like concerned with relationships or friendships or like just what was going on that was like even drama like in front of me. Like, we all get distracted like a TV. Like, I was always distracted by what was going on around me instead of taking control of like myself. So like with that, I learned how to like tap into just pushing all the way through, like not stopping at the part that's hard. And I think that that's because I don't even really necessarily like tap into anger. I tap into like a little bit of an alter ego when I lift. Like, I'll be listening to like Nicki Minaj or something like, and I'll be like, I'm the baddest bitch in the room when I'm like this little like, and now I'm like in my basement, but like whatever. Like that's kind of like gets me through like the actual lift, but also like I feel like I've gotten more comfortable in enduring pain over time. And I'm at a point, I'm 36 years old now, like it's a wisdom type of thing. And it's an understanding of like, there's pain right now, but it's gonna stop.
Yeah.
Like, and for I mean, even like childbirth, like it's something that you understand. Like I remember, like I was like, it's one day of my life. Like I've been here a lot of days. Like, so all the other days are comfortable. Like that's one day, or like that's one lift, or what 1 hour of my day, or something like that, where you're pushing through. And then I learned to like enjoy it, like to find like the adrenaline and like the endorphins that are like flowing, and like learning about the body, I think like really helped me like understand like these are chemical reactions going on. These aren't just like feelings and emotions that like we make up. Like these are things that are going on within our body, and if we balance it right, you can like really tap into it all, like or at your potential. And that's like where I'm at, trying to like share that message now. Like whatever your potential is, tap into it, because why not? We're here for a short time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you just wrapped that up by saying that that's what you try to deliver in your messaging, because I was wondering like, how do you do that? How do you reach people? But you just said
Yeah,
it like
and
that.
that came over time. Like I do think like there's an art of being a coach for sure, because like you can apply it yourself, because everybody's different. Everybody's different personality types. Everybody has different responsibilities. Everybody has different medical history. Like, that's putting you where you are right now, because you can say, oh, I was this way, this way, this way. But we are where we are right now, and we have to address that going forward. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. But in learning how to be a better coach is obviously through continuing to educate myself and all of those things, but like also continuing to listen, and like continuing to then like share that with people, different ways that you can connect your real life to what you're doing in the gym. And it's not just this superficial thing.
Sorry, you can keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not just this like superficial thing. It's really you're bettering yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall.
Fuck. Sorry. There it goes. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you're saying. It's just amazing. Just the way that you're delivering it.
Like I said, like it's flowing today, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I want to go back to your competition.
Okay.
You did 2, right?
I did 3.
Oh, did you?
I was only gonna do 1, and then like I got a taste, and I did well. Like I think that was the biggest thing. Like I went into it, like an amateur, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I got help by like really, really awesome people, and went there and like had my support team. My whole family was there. My son was there. Like it was an experience, and I did really well. And I like looked around like how I stacked up to the other girls, and I was like, hey, like I do look like one of the best, like in my like bikini here. And I was like, okay, like this is pretty cool. I was like, I almost like flew like a helicopter off stage, like because I was so nervous. You're up there in like 5-inch heels with a platform. Never had done that in life before until I was practicing for it. And that's something you practice all the time too. And so like I had made this such a big thing in my life, so that when it was over, it's like anything, like you're like, the day after your wedding, you're like, you know what, like all of that time, like all this preparation, it's 12 weeks, but it's still like a long time in a sense. Like we were in springtime and we were in winter when I like said I was going to do it. So I was like, all right. And everyone was talking about like big cat, like it's in October. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'll take like the summer off. So I even had like a trip planned for my friend's wedding, and I like ate, like what I wanted, like drank a little bit, like, was fine. And then I came back and like still had this like, okay, like I'm in this mode, like type of thing. And then like with that, which I didn't even understand at the time, because at this time I was just, getting like macro information from like a coach at the gym. And it was definitely like, he was definitely like my coach in a sense, but like it was a little bit more free flowing than like when I actually did hire like a registered dietitian. Yeah. And so like in taking a break after my first show, like my feedback was to continue to lean out. Like my legs are always the last to the party. Like they always have been. I've always had like thicker, like I carry my body fat in my legs. So
Yeah.
he's like, you need to lean out a little bit more, but you did great, awesome. Loved suit color, makeup, hair, posing, like all those things come into play. So I was like, okay, like I want to continue to lean out, but I'm going to take a break. But when I took a break and I was like eating, like, just fairly normal again, like I think I had gone out like and ate like a restaurant or something. And I continued to get leaner. And I didn't realize that I was like reverse dieting myself. Didn't really know too much about reverse dieting because I only knew like the plummet. Like, and now it was a plummet. Like, I at one point, like, I will say, like, I think it was in that second, like, prep, I guess. So I signed up for a show in July because I couldn't help myself. And it was like a smaller show. And I was like, okay, whatever. It'll just like continue to like give me exposure, like with the with the judges and like, my posing and stage presence and all those things. But like in that time, like I went to an extreme. Like I was taking like fat burners. I was taking like diuretic, which like I was naive and I like thought like I should be taking this all the time.
Yeah.
Like I remember like saying it at that competition and like people looking at me like, you did what? And I was like, no, I didn't. Like, kind of just like went like mind my own business after that. But I was miserable that show. Ask anyone that was with me, like my family, I love you. Like I was miserable. I was like literally I was so dehydrated that like my feet were like cramping up and like that was the show, like, because you had come to like support me.
Yeah.
That was that show. I hated that show. I was miserable. I like just, it was awful. So I like I put myself in a situation where I was like, okay, this is too extreme. I'm not feeling good anymore. And then they even told me, my feedback was, no, you have too many striations. Like even when I was getting tan, they're like, are you doing figure? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, you're bikini? Because I was like, that was the leanest I've ever been. Like I look back at those pictures and I was like, that's kind of scary. And then after that, I was like, okay, I found this coach online that like had a big presence like throughout the United States. And I was like, okay, cool. So I signed up with him and the first thing we did, we reversed from there. And he's like, we need to like get you like healthy again. He's like, you don't need those fat burners. You don't need that stuff. We're going to use the body for what it does. And I learned a ton from him about how like to not fear carbs. Like before that, I had my carbs down so low that one morning I came down and like I didn't lock my front door. My cabinets were open in my house and like everybody has their like go to bed type of routine.
Yeah.
And you like shut everything, like put everything to sleep. And like everything was not asleep when I came down. I was like, I don't remember doing this. Like,
Damn.
And yeah, like so I was at a point where my body was like, no, like I never lost my period. And that's the thing that happens to like competitors. So like if you lose your period, like it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like that is never normal. But like, and I never did. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. But like that's not a measure of how like you think things are fine.
That means you took it way too far.
Yeah. And it scared me even. And like, so after that, I started working with a registered dietitian. We literally like reversed me wildly. Like I was going into my last show with like close to 400 grams of carbs, like going like into it. And like most of the time people are like, what? Like I like tell that to people and they're like, are you like joking? I'm like, no. Like, and drinking a gallon of water still, like I was drinking 2 gallons of water for most of my prep and like realizing how much just like your whole foods can do for you. And that like really started shifting things for me. And then I started diving into like more nutrition, like certifications and stuff after that. And then after that, did really well, finally got my national qualifier after working with him. He like, we peaked phenomenally. I could not have been happier. There were like 2 other competitors on my team like that competed at that show and like killed it too. Me and the one girl were in the overall at the end. Like I didn't get it, but like just being a part of that was pretty cool because I had like been continuously getting like 3rd place in my class. And like so like first like show I did like novice and I got like 1st place in those, but like it's not that they don't mean anything, but they kind of don't mean anything. And but like you want the national qualifier because then if you go like compete nationally, then if you win that, like usually top 2 at certain shows or sometimes it's just the 1st place, but then you get your pro card.
Yeah.
And then like that changes things for like this is a profession. So, and in that time, that's what I wanted. And then, but like, okay, so I stopped I was reversing after like my last show, and then last show was in October of 2019. The world shut down in March 2020. So I was in my like building season with my registered dietitian, and that's when the world shut down. And then after that, the gym closed, so then I lost my job.
Oh.
So from there, that's when I like obviously couldn't afford my coach anymore.
Yeah.
Then I like, had a lot of idle time. So, got certified in nutrition because I was inspired by it, and then just really shifted everything into like a healthier way of thinking. And then like also with like my clients too.
Yeah.
Then.
That's interesting how the COVID, like for some people it was, I forget what it said. Some people lost themselves and some people found themselves basically during COVID. I'm gonna
And I
grab a
think
water real quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but for you it sounds like you found yourself.
I lost myself first a little bit though.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think we all did, like, because it was like a lot of fear, and I lost my job. Like, I remember I didn't even tell my dad for like 2 weeks because I like thought he would be like disappointed. Like, I don't know. Like,
That you lost your job?
yeah, I don't know. Like, I just like I think we were all in a little weird mind like
Yeah.
space at that time.
Yeah.
So
A
like,
little fear.
yeah, and like it just like I had started trying to like really. I had finally felt like true momentum in my life. Like, I graduated college, and like that was amazing for me to like finish that and everything. But I finally found like momentum, I think, like within my
Congratulations.
career. What?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I went back after I had my son. I had done like community college for a little while, but like, again, like I would start things and I wouldn't finish them. And like, I just didn't have a lot of direction. So I went back and did that. And that's what kind of like mentally I was like bettering myself, but then I like wanted to physically better myself. So that's where like the gym and like going back to school kind of like went hand in hand. So like I had felt all that momentum for so long, and especially like after competing, like that's a powerful thing on your mind, like when you go and you achieve those type of things. So I had felt I was like manifesting things. I felt like, I was seeing things that I wanted and they were coming true. Like I had just gotten a promotion at work and like, really wanted to change like the environment in our gym to not only be like amazing in the community, but amazing in the equipment that it had, amazing in the way that like, the bathrooms were kept and like all the things that like, you know, you can't fix by yourself. Like you do need that help, like, from the owners, obviously.
Yeah.
But I had all this like inspiration and like, momentum going that I wanted to make all this change. And then it was just like, eh. And not only that, I was drinking a lot of caffeine at that time too. So like slowing down my life was actually very, very hard. And I like resorted back to like therapeutic type of things because the gym was like my therapy.
Yeah.
For a little while, I was still like going there when like we were shut down. And like just
Lucky
going
you.
there every day. Well, and then I posted a video and people got mad
Oh, shit.
because they're like, she's in there, like
Yeah.
what the hell? But I was like, the only one in there.
Yeah.
But the owners were like, can you not do that or at least not post it? And I was like, all right, cool. Like,
Yeah.
but that was my place of like therapy. So like, yes, I started going outside and stuff like because it was March and April and we got like into springtime. But even then, they're like, don't go outside, don't do this, don't do that. But going outside and like moving my body, but I like started drawing again. Like I started like doing things that I hadn't done in a while because I had so much. I think all of us, it was like a snowstorm. It's like the first like, even couple days, you're like, this is like a vacation. This is awesome. And then after that, I cleaned my whole house, emptied out my junk drawers, did all the things. And after that, you're just like left with yourself. And like, that's what you're if you've got things going on, you got things going on. And
Yeah.
I started really going back into like therapeutic, type of stuff. And then also in that time, I had met my husband. I've not met him, but like got reintroduced to him in the end of 2019. It was like December. And we were like very fresh and new. And then the world shut down. But he was like, no, I'm going to protect you. And like, so that for me, again, was something foreign. Like I kept waiting for him to like mess up, like to
Yeah.
disappoint me, to not be who he said he was.
Yeah.
Like, and he just continued like to not disappoint me and to be who he said he was and to follow through. And those things I took very seriously in my life at that time. So that I think also was a saving grace in a sense because I don't know like where I would be without him too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's interesting. all the decisions, it sounds like a lot of your life is based on like a mind state. I'm wondering how do we like implement or give that to people, you know,
Like
because you're just
achieve
like a kind
that.
of person that just sees these things and does them, and it's very hard to do to like flip that switch or to do that thing or to put that work in, you know, like because
Yeah.
if everyone could do that, everyone would do that. So it's about trying to figure out how do we give that thing that you
It's
have and put that
discomfort in a
into
sense,
people.
but like leaning into discomfort. I feel like, but everybody's like everybody's life is different, and like if you've achieved a comfortable state for like a period of time or like a perceived comfortable state, then maybe you have no reason to move, or like it, like at least that's usually the mindset. Like, well, if something doesn't make me move, I'm not going to move.
Yeah.
And that's usually how we make our, a lot of people make some changes in life, like radical changes like that, because something forces you to move. And I feel like in the beginning for me, it was, but I guess that's a mindset too, because you can wallow in that and you can use that as your reasons why you're not going to succeed. But I think in the beginning, it was like, I think for me, like when I became a single mom and I had people telling me, like, you're not going to finish college. You're going to be on like food stamps for your whole life. You're going to, like in the beginning where it was like, keep the baby, don't keep the baby. And people
Mm.
are like telling me this, but like with a dead face, like you're going to be nothing if you choose to keep this child. And you need to like understand that like that's what you're signing yourself up for. And like for me, again, every woman has their choice. But for me, the choice was to have my son, and that's the only choice that made sense to me.
Good for you.
But and it was a hard one because I was for the first time making a decision alone. Like I said, like I was always like a go with the flow kind of girl.
Hmm.
Like my parents put me here, my like friends, and this is the way I'm going. Like, but that was the first time I had to make a life changing decision, and it was only mine. And like everybody, whether they were influencing not to do it or to do it, and everybody had their opinion. But I will say, like, and I will always say this day, like my dad was like the one person who was like the middle ground. He was like, honestly, whatever you pick, like it's gonna be okay, and like it's your decision to pick. But like, and I did, pick because my son changed my life. It changed me, but he was like my inspiration, but also the inspiration of like to prove people wrong, which I guess that's a lot of things that people tap into at first, whether
Yeah.
it's like if you're just talking about the gym or anything else, but like people get spiteful and they're like, no, like you said I couldn't do it, watch me. Like,
Hmm.
and it was a lot of that at first, but I think like finding through that, like recognizing that that's not ever going to be a reason that's going to be sustainable to you, because if that's all you're worried about, then like it's going to be short lived,
Yeah.
like, but then from there, I think I just continuously had things. I realized that a lot of things were patterns in my own life and recognizing that. That's why I, even just as a coach, I started shifting into like mindset, because you're like, you're choosing different decisions, and then if things become patterns, like then you are a part of that,
Yeah. Yeah. It
like
becomes
you
part of you.
you can be a victim, like, and I would always say that, like, I came in contact with a lot of shitty people, like, but what was the common denominator? Me. Like the common, like in the toxicity, like in my life, the common denominator was me. So then when I realized, like, started tapping into like manifesting and all that, and like manifesting good energy into your life, and like shifting, because I went to Catholic school my whole life, so I kind of started like broadening my horizons on just like personal spirituality, and like it not being like going to a church and like being like religious, like in a sense. So like I think in that, like you kind of just get to know yourself of like, okay, like no, I'm going to do this because it's going to benefit me, and I'm going to cut these patterns out because they're unhealthy. And if you look at your patterns with relationships, with food, with body image, with confidence, with all that, like if you're like a lot of times you'll see the same patterns with
Yeah.
people. And now like I feel like I've gotten good at like kind of spotting that with people, to the people that will open up, because not everyone will. Some people are just like, these are my numbers, these are my macros, this is the workouts that I did, tell me what to do. And I'm like, it's more than that. It's your
Yeah.
stress management. It's your mindset. It's your, like, do you want to beat yourself up when you're working out, or do you want to build yourself up? Because there's a difference. And like I realized that over time too, like even just recurring injuries, well, they're recurring. So what's the common denominator? You. Like, you're doing it. Your body's not doing it to you.
Yeah.
You are doing
You're making
it.
the choice.
Yeah. But like, it's then I think like with COVID too, like you just realize like your autonomy, like I did, because we were all forced to like make these medical decisions and to showcase them and all that. And it's like, you are in charge of you, and taking personal responsibility for your health is, I mean, you have to. And if you don't, you pay for it.
Yeah, it's gonna go how it goes.
Yeah, and like be
anytime.
preventative instead of like responsive. And that's where in life, like, I stopped wanting to like have things happen to me and have to respond after the fact. Like that thing, like click the button, like just I'll fly and go. Like I wanted to over time like start taking more control and be like, no, this is a decision that I'm making.
Yeah, be proactive.
A thought out decision. Yeah, because I've been proactive, listening to myself, understanding myself, and then going forward. So that's what I try and do with clients, because that's the stuff that changes you forever. So like you invest in, say, I spent $200. That $200 made itself back like that. My whole life has
Tenfold.
changed.
Yeah,
like I'm a different person.
Maybe
And
the best 200 you ever spent.
ever. Hands down, I will, like, that is a very true statement.
Shout out to Katie Hearn again.
Shout out to Katie Hearn. But like,
best $200 ever.
Yeah. And like a lot of times even I get that with clients too, because, in what capacity are you signing up? And it's an investment. It's not just your everyday gym. It's a personal trainer and it's a personal nutrition coach. So like you're the showcase. So you share with me just a little bit, then you're just going to get a little bit. If you share with me, and if I can't help you, I have like definitely like found that like there are things that then go in the realm of out of your scope. And I take that very seriously, because you don't want to hurt anyone. Like, and you can hurt people if you like just plummet them and like just take away all their food, and they'll do it for like the sake of willpower. Yeah, you can probably get some transformation photos, but you're going to leave that person in an awful state with food, their relationship with food. They're going to rebound probably at some point, especially if then they have like another child after that. It like your hormones just go too wild where you can't do that to yourself and like get out of it and like be that same girl, like you want to go back to that same girl you were before you had your child. So you can't leave people worse off than you found them. And people don't like that though, because people are like, no, I came to you to lose weight. And it's like, I want to say, like, I'm not a weight loss coach. Like, I am a nutrition coach.
I like the way you just looked at the camera and told them.
I need to let you know. I'm not a weight loss coach. Yes. Will you lose fat with me? Yes. Will you build muscle with me? Yes. But I'm not a weight loss coach. I'm not going to then plummet you into some place that is going to leave you worse off. And honestly, if I start seeing that there's some resistance and things like that there shouldn't be, I'm then going to hand you off to a functional practitioner, or then I'm going to hand you off to a physical therapist. Like if you want to work more on your pelvic floor and you have bladder issues, I'm not those professionals, but I will then like be your resource center of, okay, this is probably where like your next step where you want to go. And like understanding that, like that you can't solve all the problems for some people sometimes, but you can help them get there.
Good for you. Yeah. I like that you said you're saying you're hitting a bunch of things that I probably should be asking, but you're just knocking them down
But
anyway.
It's flowing naturally.
Yeah, just the fact that you said that you take that into consideration, knowing your limitations.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a coach, and what you can.
Because people go through a lot of school for, to go. There's a girl in my network that she's going to be a registered dietitian, and going through like, you don't realize how much schooling that is and how many different ways that you learn like through medical conditions and all that. And I hate to say it, most of our population has some kind of medical condition.
Yeah.
And like sometimes they need a little bit more help, and like, I can help you in where my scope is, but if I have to hand you off, not hand you off, but like work in tandem, like that's only going to better you in the whole essence of your life, where then you can say, yes, when I decided to like take my health into my own hands, my life changed. And these are the ways that I did it. And if I'm just a part of that, then that's amazing. Like, that's why I do what I do, because it's powerful. Like, I can't tell you how many sessions I've had with clients, even that just like while I'm, we're going through movement patterns and like working your body properly and teaching you proper form. But they're also telling me about their marriages and their stress at work, like being like, healthcare workers, like even through COVID and all that, like having that outlet for people like really made people suffer with like mental health and all of that. And they people needed an outlet, and sometimes that can be your coach.
Yeah. We're talking about injuries there. I actually learned recently that I have disc degeneration disease.
So do
Oh,
I.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in my L5.
Okay, I'm actually kind of glad to hear that because at first it kind of terrified me. I know it's not technically a disease, that's just what they call it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I realized I had to start doing things differently and probably squatting. I'm probably never going to squat again, technically. You still squat?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do things like better than I've ever done them before. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, like starting from like not square one again, but like postpartum, like I really, really focused on my pelvic floor. And even like men, like your pelvic floor, you can have six-pack abs, but your pelvic floor can be weak as well. And I think even just in the, times where I had abs and you can visibly see them, I think I had a weaker pelvic floor. And I think that that helped me kind of like strengthen everything around it to then be able to handle. But like I know that like I know my boundaries, and I
Yeah.
feel like with that, like you just have to kind of know your boundaries and know like I feel like this could be a tweak, so I'm gonna back off.
Yeah, I think I was always pushing them too far for too
Yeah.
long and too hard, and then I just
I'm just
realized,
not seeing or feeling the signs, like stretching, like foam rolling,
yeah,
chiropractic care, like
yeah,
all, at least for me, like I would do like acupuncture, I did cupping, like these are all different points like within my injuries, but I routinely see a chiropractor. I did through my whole pregnancy and thereafter as well. And like I will say that that helped me maintain my like spinal health for sure.
yeah. I'm gonna need to get some tips from you as to what to do
Yeah.
because my back is fucked.
Yeah. And it's tough because then it's something like that you want to just hold it to where it is. Like that, at least that's my understanding is like you want to hold that to where it is because surgery, at least for me, like I'm not into it unless like it was
Yeah,
like I had to. That's just a personal choice, but like I found that I feel healthier now, 14 months postpartum, than I ever have, and I think that I'm also in my most mindful part of my journey though.
yeah. Good for
So
you. You look great. That's why I reach out to you sometimes and say or
thanks.
comment. Your bounce back game, official.
Thanks. And I hate the word bounce back because it's a lot of freaking work. Like
Yeah,
it really, really is. But it's work that's, like you said, like when you're doing it like at home and stuff like that, it's work that you're building into like your
yeah,
life. And, of course, like bringing a new child into the world, like has its transitional periods too. And we don't live a dull moment, that's for sure. But like just a little bit each day and like all that really builds up. And but in the midst of it, I'm like, am I like is this like what I want, like even achievable, or should I even like think that that's achievable and like kind of just give myself more grace, because I'm not like I haven't tracked food in a long time, probably since like before my wedding. And then like, and I thought like throughout my pregnancy I would, and like to keep myself like in, and like I would just intuitively did that. And like, I kind of check in with myself sometimes and like see like where I'm at like with my day, but like doing things intuitively, I think like you just get so much more in tune with your body, and like it signals that it's like telling you.
yeah,
So I've been like listening to them more, and I feel like with injuries it does make you listen a little bit more to your own body and like realize what it needs instead of just like up here like what you need
yeah.
mentally.
What would you call it instead of bounce back? Like if you were talking to women about finding their before, after, is a new or something instead of calling it bounce back.
Yeah, I don't know. Mom strength. I don't
Yeah,
know. Like
mom
that's what
strength.
comes to
Finding your
mind
mom strength.
first, because like I mean, it depends like what communities that you're in. Like yes, there's a lot of moms that struggle and like, you know, but there's also a community of people that are like really embracing like my kids are in the gym with me, and they're just playing. Like you're not like teaching them how to squat, or you're not teaching them how to like, push themselves and all, but like they're embracing that like you're gonna like lift heavy in front of your kids, or you're gonna run, or you're gonna do this or that, and pretty much you're just showing them what like a healthy lifestyle looks like. And as long as that's healthy and not obsessive, like I feel like you want to call it mom strength.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop calling it bounce back. I'm going with mom strength.
Mom
Something
strength.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you reach people, or how can people reach you?
I mean, Instagram is a big tool for me.
Is it
You
just
know,
Michelle Fit?
Michelle Fit, I've like toyed with like changing the name, but I do also think like there is, I don't know, I started that Instagram back in 2015 because I was like in that challenge, and a lot of things were like videos and hashtags, and that's how that community was like, brought together at that time before like apps and all that were even a thing. And so it was starting to like consume my personal Instagram, and like people were like, Michelle, like with your videos again, and blah, blah, and like
Little hater.
a little like
hate.
hater, yeah, like a little
hate.
bit of that. But like that's the way a lot of like my friendships were at that time. So from there, I was like, oh, I'll just make this Instagram. But then also you get the people that are like, Michelle made like a secret Instagram. That's public. Like that's public.
funny.
Okay. Like my other one's private,
Just another
but
part of your life.
yeah, but like, she made a secret Instagram to like show her fitness stuff. But it was really just about the community. Like, you would see the video of Katie Hearn doing it, and then in that hashtag, you'd see all the girls in the community doing it with good form, bad form, cheering each other on, like, giving each other pointers. So it was like a really cool, healthy place. And it's funny sometimes, and people that you hardly know are going to be your biggest like hype people too.
Yeah.
So like I got into that, like I felt like more like that was like, okay, that's my fitness part of me and this is my personal part of me. But in that, it's like intertwined and stuff, but I don't want to change it to just my business name because it's still me, so I've kind of toyed with that. But that's how you can get a hold of me, on my Instagram, and then through my email. So that's in the bio.
Nice. I think that you're an inspirational person. And I just like
you.
your story and your journey, and the natural aspect of it and what you do. And I hope that it goes up.
Thanks.
I hope people come to you and see that it can be done, and you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
same as all the rest.
Yeah.
Had 1, 2 kids and found your mom strength.
Found my mom strength, yeah.
I was gonna say bounce back, but I
Yeah,
got the right word real
we're
quick.
gonna share that mom
Found
strength.
your mom strength. I like that. So I want to thank you for coming. Appreciate
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
I
much.
had a great time talking.
Yeah, you did a great
to you.
job. You crushed it. Thanks everyone for joining us here at the Awakened Avoidant. Miss Michelle Bridge.
Bye.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Awakened Avoidant. We hope our convo has provided you with insight, inspiration, and healing energy. As you go about your week, let's continue to work together to heal ourselves and our community. Stay safe and continue to spread healing vibes wherever you go. Catch a new episode Wednesday weekly on all platforms.
Strawberry vinaigrette in my fridge. Made it from scratch, that's just what my life is. Picking my face and